Hello. I wanted to tell you about some dreams. There's three of them. They're dreams that I had about 10 years ago, all very close to each other. In fact, two of them happened in one night, and then the second one happened about 2 weeks later. I was living in Brighton. I had a therapist called Miriam who was amazing. She was multidisciplinary and she worked on lots of different models and was very flexible in terms of being able to jump between them, certainly with my therapy. And at the time, we were looking at my relationship with myself, my relationship with my body, my relationship to my sexuality, intimacy, all sorts of other things at work, and poetry. I wasn't writing very much. I was wanting to be this poet. I didn't know how to do it. Poet, do it. No, never mind. And we were talking about, we were just talking about me, really. I mean, that's what therapy is about. And I was finding new and interesting ways to delve deeper in my own personal journey. And one night I had a dream. Well, I'd had this session about nothing to do with the dream, but in the dream, I went home and I remember something happened to me during the therapy session, and I felt this thing inside me just sort of move. And when I got home, it felt like I drank a lot of coffee or just come off a big roller coaster. There was lots of adrenaline, you know? And I went to bed and I closed my eyes and I started to breathe and I fell asleep. And it was like waking up into another life, because when I fell asleep, I remember just suddenly being at a big round kitchen table in a sort of nice dining room with open windows and smells of nice things, flowers and spring coming in from the outside. And there was cereal on the table and bowls, and people had been sitting and eating but had gone, and there was just one other person at the table. I don't know who they were. I knew them in the dream. And I picked up the milk carton to pour milk into my cereal, and there was a picture of somebody missing on the side of the carton like they do in America. And I remember saying to the man who was having breakfast with me, "We never found out what happened to all the missing people, did we? I mean, that was never answered, was it?" And he went, "No. It wasn't a sad thing. It was just observation. People had just vanished in this world, in this dream that I was living in." And it was 6 months or a year down the line from whatever event had occurred that was definitely in the past now. And there was peace. The environment was just peaceful. Anyway, I had some cereal and then I went to the bathroom. And when I passed the mirror of the bathroom, what I saw on the other side wasn't the bathroom. It was the breakfast table and the dining room area that I'd just been in, except it wasn't our version because there was no light. The windows were busted open and cracked, and the bowls were empty, and it looked like, the beginning of 28 Days Later, like moldy sandwiches, and, things got left and just started to rot in this sort of desolate, abandoned space. And on the table, there was a milk carton, like, the same. And the picture on the milk carton was me. And I realized that there was another universe running alongside ours where we were the ones who disappeared completely from their reality. And when I tell you the dream now, I can feel it coming up in me again. It's so exciting. Because at the time I thought it was just unusual. But it was really that dream, and the one that I'm going to tell you now and the one after, that caused me to start considering what quantum mechanics is all about. And the idea that everything exists before it exists as unmanifested potential, or if you will, uncoded DNA. And in fact, recently in space, where are we? Who would have thought this isn't a scarf, but actually a sleeping bag warmer? I found it in the bedroom. I'm going to wear that. So, that's my face! I've done it again. So this idea of parallel realities, we are expressions of consciousness, right? Moving through life, exploring, finding out what everything feels like, right? The human concepts are whether things are good or bad. But in terms of spirit, that we are having a human experience, we're just exploring without judgment. And this notion that at some point in the future, time was going to split. And some people would move into one version of reality and the others would move into the others. You see, up until very, very recently, we've had this sort of status quo that we call consensus reality, which means that everybody in the world, for the most part, imagines reality to be pretty much the same as how everyone else imagines it, and thus reality forms in one way only, and we all live in that shared reality. But the reality actually is that we all live in our own individual realities. We are the center of our own micro-universe, and consensus reality is the place where our universes sort of bump into each other and overlap. So in the second half of this dream, I was walking up, it just sort of changed. I was walking up a street. It was a street, but it was like a dusty road, like not tarmac or anything, almost like the Wild West, dusty road. And there was sort of houses, essentially one-level houses on both sides with lovely verandas and porches, and all made of wood and beautifully crafted. And all the windows were open, and the smells of amazing food was coming out of the windows, and there was window baskets, and it was ridiculous. It was just beautiful and gorgeous. And I was so happy, and I was with this friend, this beautiful man who I think was like my best friend ever, but he wasn't somebody... I have met him actually since, some years later, and it was so, and I loved him so much. And I was just looking at him going, where should we go for dinner? He said, what are you talking about? And I said, well, I know that if we walk up to any of these doors, number one, none of them are locked. No one locks their doors. Number two, there's people in all of them who are just loving. Number three, whichever one we pick, as we walk up the steps, somebody's going to open that door and say, oh, Simon and... don't know what his name was in the dream. We were sort of expecting you. We've just laid 2 more places. Come in. And we won't even know them. It will be just like we sort of do know them, and we know each other's names, but we've never met. And it's not unusual. It's just the way things are now. And I was excited about this prospect of who we're going to meet and have dinner with. And it's just going to all be as it was supposed to be. And he was like, have dinner? You mad? We've got to get out of the way. We're going to die in a minute. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, what are you seeing when you look out at this? I'm like, what's wrong with you? And I put my hand on his shoulder. And as I did it, the whole world went dark and this ripple rushed through reality. And I saw what he saw. Same houses, all broken, all smashed up. Yellow sky, like stingy throat from stuff in the clouds coming down, and no clean water anywhere, and dead cats and dogs hanging off bits of brick and wood, and the smouldering ruins of a desecrated city in the distance, like proper Armageddon apocalypse. And I'm like, oh, and I let go of him, and suddenly it was beautiful again, and it was gorgeous, and there were those people, anyone would invite us in. I knew I was. And I said, oh shit, you and me, we're not in the same place. And I can't help you. I can't help you. And he went, you can't, can you? I have to go. And he ran off up this beautiful road. But I knew that for him, it was just this wasteland where there was rubble coming out of everywhere and no people. And I watched him go. And went up some steps, and this door opened, and this beautiful woman, 60s, busted, rosy. You could tell there was an Aga in there, and she loves cooking and people and hugs and everything. It was amazing. And she said, oh, Simon, I thought there were going to be 2 of you. And then the dream ended. Bang, gone. So I woke up from that going, oh, it's all real, it's all real. Don't touch my face. And so that was the first set, and I've sort of talked about them now, so I'm just going to go on to the last one, which was really interesting. So I went, it was the last one that my therapist commented on. So I think actually they must have happened these lot in the same week between therapy sessions. And in this dream, I was suddenly on the roof of Churchill Square shopping centre in Brighton. Except it wasn't Churchill Square shopping centre. It was actually the Louvre, you know, that pyramid, that glass pyramid in Paris. And lick my face. Is that allowed? I've got itchy beard. No barber. Social isolation. I could do it myself, but I don't want to. I'm going to wait until it's all over. You will know how long social isolation goes on because of how big the beard will be. We've been isolated for 25 years. But we've got the internet, and Netflix is great, isn't it? It's interactive now. You can be in the show you're watching. No, don't. Sorry, joke. So, I was on this glass pyramid, and that's my face. It's not funny anymore. I'm going to stop now. I was looking down, and what I saw was the whole inside of the shopping centre was lots of people running around. Every shop in there was a shoe shop. And all of them had signs in the window saying 80% off, bargain, buy 10, get 20,000 free. It was all buy, deal, I'm better than the next door one. Competition selling. And people were running around in a frenzy in there, down there. Like I was looking down, watching it, like it was Black Friday, right? For your TVs and whatnot. And I'm like, everyone's just shoe shopping. Wow. And there's people running around with bags, you know, big glossy bags with the square shape. You could see the shoe box was inside the bag and everything. And suddenly I sort of zoomed out, like the whole world just left me. And I'm out in space, looking down at the Earth, having just zoomed out. And I turn around, and there's a massive Dell tower. Like this great, monstrous thing. Can't really see it there, but you know what I mean. Huge, great tower for the PC, I guess, of the planet, you know. And I'm looking at this enormous machine sort of hanging in space, massive, and going vroom, 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 vroom. And then I saw the big golden hand from the National Lottery advert come flying through with a big fat finger out, going for the power button. I'm like, oh, don't do that. And it pushes down on the power button and holds it. And I'm like, oh, shit. And then there's this terrible noise, this woo, 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 woo. And I turn around and I'm looking at the planet and it's just slowed down now and it's stopped spinning. Touch my face. Oh no. And I thought, that's it, we're dead. Fuck, we're dead. And then suddenly I'm back on the Louvre looking down and I realise I've gone back in time about 10 seconds because I'm seeing the same running around exactly that I was a minute ago. And I'm like, oh, it hasn't happened yet. We haven't. 5, 4, 3, and suddenly, woo, 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 woo. But this time I got to be looking through the glass at the people in this running around buying their shoes when this switching off of the core vibration of the thing that powers the Earth, this Dell machine, purely symbolic, I'm assuming. About, I don't know, 30% of the people in the shopping centre stopped, just like I had. I went, like they're clutching the cells. It's like you can feel it in there. It's gone. The thing that gives you oxygen. It's like being between spaceships in the space with no spacesuit. Like that moment where you got to hold your breath because any more than a few seconds of zero gravity, I know you'd freeze first, but excusing that, if you take a breath, you die. If another ship can pick you up before you need to, you live. So this is the moment of faith, right? You can see where I'm going with this, I hope. And 30% of these people just went, ooh, and they sort of drop their bags and go. They're not looking at each other going, oh, what's happened? They're just in themselves going, whoa. Everyone else is still running around, buying their shoes. They haven't got a clue that it happened. Nearly saw, didn't. And then suddenly there's this noise. And I'm like, oh, it's not shut down. It's reset. Flip. And as I'm like, not touching my face, but I'm looking at my hands and they're vanishing. And I look down through the Louvre and the 30% of the people are also vanishing. And we're moving. We are moving. We are being magnetically summoned. So we don't have to work out how to get there. We're going to get summoned. We get magnetically summoned by the heartbeat of creation. And wherever we reappeared, I don't know, because as everything went bright and I saw all the people disappearing, I disappeared too, and bang, I'm waking up again. And I'm so excited because that time is now. We are essentially in the point between the end of the shutdown and the beginning of the reset, right? Come on. We are going to get called, but we have to be ready to hear it. Here and here. And I am. I mean, you are too. You're watching this. You're grinning right now. You are ready. We are so ready. And I'm so excited and I feel so privileged. I feel so privileged to be human right now because you know what? We all queued up for thousands of years just to get an earth life before we were human. Okay? There's nowhere else in any universe, I don't think, where 3 dimensions occur and we get to experience linear time with a yesterday and a now and a tomorrow and this getting older business and this only one thing at a time business where we can build extraordinary things on planets. I mean, I don't really remember what it's like to be extra dimensional. Not really. I have flashes sometimes, but not particularly. I can't speak them. I can speak everything. No, not this one. To be able to remember that we chose to be here right now for this reason, and that we are being brave and that we are remembering our love and being in the heart and lifting the whole world with us in this vibration. And people who just don't believe any of this, they're listening to something else that is dark and says we are not worthy of love and we're not going to get this chance. And those people are going to go downward spiraling into obliteration, whilst the other people are going to go upward spiraling into self-actualization. The world is polarizing now, right? We have this consensus reality up until recently, but now there are 2 realities. One says the newspapers are not owned by dark forces. They're telling us the truth and this is all real. And coronavirus is a disease caused from a bat that gets transmitted through a virus. The other says they're lying to us. They've been lying to us for years. This is a covert operation very quickly becoming overt because they can't hide what they're doing now. It's too hard because it's too big. And having so many people on the planet all believing this other version of reality is going to make it so. It is making it so. It's coming out. That's exciting. That's so exciting. I guess that's all I've got to say really now for tonight. I could end with a poem. I'm going to end with a poem. This is a very appropriate poem for this moment. I'm having so much fun with you tonight. Thank you for being with me. Mwah, I love you. It's called Happy Shopper. I might cry. I'm going to try not to. No, I'm just, let it flow, baby. Let it flow. Don't touch your face. Shopping's a delight for me. A thing I love to do, but I do not shop for others, so I cannot shop for you. I go shopping in the week, at the weekend, at night. I go shopping when it's raining. I go shopping when it's bright. I've shopped before on Christmas Day, at Easter, at Lent. I've shopped before when I was broke, couldn't pay my rent. I do not need a reason to go shopping every day, for it's something that I do in a constant sort of way. I shop for fun and merriment. I shop for conversation. I shop for disappointment, and I shop for irritation. I shop for new experience in pleasure and in pain. Occasionally I shop for loss, but mostly it's for gain. I've been a constant shopper since the day that I was born, but I didn't always know this fact. I used to feel worn. Life felt circumstantial, like a massive game of chess in which other players' moves always got me in a mess. In truth, I felt a victim. I experienced my life as a story someone else was writing, full of pain and strife. Things would happen to me and I felt I had no say. I remember often thinking, I don't want to go this way. But I went there, nonetheless, to that place of the insane, the place we choose to fight against the things we can't explain. I lived for several years there, fighting in the dark, a child of abandonment, a dog without a bark. And on the darkest day, I surrendered to the fight. And the moment that I did, I was given clear sight. I looked around and startled saw that everything was new. The moment had refreshed my mind to show me what was true. I saw that I am the writer of my story, of my play. And that was how I learned that I am shopping every day. And now that I am conscious, I buy only what I need. For my soul is mine to nourish and to nurture and to feed. Things no longer happen to me. Now they happen for me. I'm loving every moment, and the moments, they adore me. And touch my head, oh, so loud. Everything that happens is a thing that I have bought. Every single action, every single thought. So when a moment brings me disappointment, grief, or shame, I do not shop for justice or for pity or for blame. I remember that I shopped for this experience at hand and I let those feelings rush through me and out like water through the sand. All of us are shopping. It's a thing we love to do. We can shop for what is false or we can shop for what is true. And when we know we're shopping and this moment is the shop, we can choose the final word and the very last full stop. And so we shall. And on a final note, I've spoken to quite a few people now who are coming up against people that they love, looking at them and going, "You're mad, I don't like what you're saying, get out of my life." These times are absolutely polarizing us as a species. Now, if you choose to embrace love and light and the spirit that lives inside you that wants to be connected to the spirit of all the other people who are looking to raise the vibration of the planet through conscious, willing desire to create the reconnection to the oversoul that we all share, the entity of spirit that is human consciousness as a singular entity. I don't think it'll be like ants with a hive mind as such, but we will have a hive mind of sorts, a hive heart, not hive. I don't like that word so much for this. A group heart, a shared heart. We will instinctively have intuitions that will lead us to places where we build big and wonderful things together. Not everyone gets to go, okay? But everyone gets to choose. If you love your friends and they are looking into the darkness and believing that that is where we're going, you can invite them to choose. But ultimately, if they do not choose, you must let them go. And you must do so pragmatically, and you let them go with love, knowing that at some point they may choose and come back. But for now, there's no point trying to hold on to people who don't believe what you believe when those two belief systems are now going in such opposite directions. So that is all I have for tonight. 25 minutes. It's as long as a short episode of something. I hope you enjoyed. Please give feedback. Feedback, by the way, fills my spirit. It makes me so happy, especially when it's good. I don't mind negative feedback, of course. Constructive, isn't it? It's not negative. It's constructive. Always room for improvement, right? So lots of love, many blessings, and see you soon. Mwah! Bye.